Have you ever felt that your life is a puzzle with missing pieces? That despite all your knowledge, your degrees, your achievements, there's still this emptiness, this sense that you're somehow disconnected from what truly matters? I know I have. And it was during my darkest moment, when my mind was clouded with doubt and my heart heavy with uncertainty, that I stumbled upon the words of a man who changed not just science, but the very way we understand our place in the universe. Albert Einstein once wrote, "A human being is a part of the whole, called by us universe, a part limited in time and space. He experiences himself, his thoughts and feelings as something separated from the rest, a kind of optical delusion of his consciousness. This delusion is a kind of prison for us, restricting us to our personal desires and to affection for a few persons nearest to us. Our task must be to free ourselves from this prison by widening our circle of compassion to embrace all living creatures and the whole of nature in its beauty." The first time I read these words, I felt something shift inside me, as if a veil had been lifted. But to understand why this quote shook my soul so deeply, we need to understand the man behind it. Not Einstein the icon, but Einstein the human being who struggled, doubted, and felt the weight of loneliness even as the world celebrated his genius. In 1902, Albert Einstein reached perhaps the lowest point in his life. Despite his brilliant mind, he couldn't find a job in academia. His relationship with Mileva Maric was opposed by his parents. His father was dying, believing his son to be a failure. Desperate and unemployed, Einstein took lowly jobs tutoring children, but was fired even from these positions. Can you imagine that? The man whose name would become synonymous with genius, rejected, unemployed, watching his father die, believing he had failed in life. How many of us have felt that crushing weight of disappointment, that fear that perhaps we've taken a wrong turn somewhere and now we're lost? Einstein wrote about this period later, saying, "I still struggle with the same problems as 10 years ago. I succeed in small matters, but the real goal remains unattainable, even though it sometimes seems palpably close. It is hard, yet rewarding. Hard because the goal is beyond my abilities, but rewarding because it makes one oblivious to the distractions of everyday life." Even as his theories revolutionized physics, Einstein's personal life was marked by intense volatility. His marriage to Mileva exploded. She left him in Berlin and moved to Zurich with their sons. Suffering from acute stomach pains exacerbated by food shortages during World War I, he was nursed by his cousin Elsa, whom he would eventually marry. The man who understood the universe felt the same human pain we all do, the same loneliness, the same doubt. Einstein's quote about our optical delusion of consciousness wasn't just philosophical musing. It came from his lived experience, from feeling profoundly disconnected, even as the world celebrated him. It is strange to be known so universally and yet to be so lonely, Einstein once remarked. Think about that for a moment. Here was a man whose name was known across the globe, yet he felt a deep loneliness that fame couldn't touch. Why? Because popularity often revolves around our presumptive idol, not who we actually are. For Einstein, it was the genius scientist persona that people knew, not the full human being with favorite clothes, cooking preferences, or a sense of humor. How many of us live behind similar masks? We present carefully curated versions of ourselves to the world on social media, at work, even with friends, while feeling that no one truly sees us. We experience ourselves as separate, isolated, trapped in what Einstein called a kind of prison. This separation isn't just emotional. It extends to how we view our place in the cosmos. Einstein wrote, "A person who is religiously enlightened appears to me to be one who has, to the best of his ability, liberated himself from the fetters of his selfish desires, and is preoccupied with thoughts, feelings, and aspirations to which he clings because of their super-personal value. What's remarkable about Einstein is that despite his scientific brilliance, he never lost his sense of wonder. He once said, "The most beautiful experience we can have is the mysterious. It is the fundamental emotion which stands at the cradle of true art and true science. In our rush to know everything, to control everything, to predict everything, we've lost this sense of mystery. We scroll through our phones looking for the next piece of information, the next distraction, without pausing to feel the vastness of existence that surrounds us." Einstein understood that true wisdom comes not just from knowledge, but from imagination, from allowing ourselves to wonder. "Imagination is more important than knowledge," he famously said. "Knowledge is limited. Imagination encircles the world." This wasn't just a clever saying. When Einstein was developing his theory of relativity, he didn't just rely on mathematical equations. He performed what he called thought experiments, imagining himself riding alongside a beam of light, visualizing what would happen if space and time could bend. His greatest scientific breakthroughs came not just from what he knew, but from what he could imagine. How many of us have lost this capacity to imagine, to play, to wonder? We've become so focused on acquiring knowledge degrees, certifications, facts, that we've forgotten the power of imagination to transcend the limits of what we know. So how do we break free from this prison of perception that Einstein described? How do we overcome the optical delusion that separates us from each other and from the universe itself? Einstein's answer was compassion. Our task must be to free ourselves from this prison by widening our circle of compassion to embrace all living creatures and the whole of nature in its beauty. This wasn't just philosophical idealism. Einstein lived this principle. Despite facing persecution as a Jewish scientist in Nazi Germany, he maintained his belief in human dignity. He wrote, "The ideals which have lighted my way, and time after time have given me new courage to face life cheerfully, have been kindness, beauty, and truth." Einstein's resilience in the face of setbacks is legendary. When he was dismissed from various jobs, he never allowed these setbacks to define him. Instead, he viewed each rejection as an opportunity to learn, grow, and refine his ideas. His unwavering commitment to his passion for physics fueled his determination to persist, even in the face of seemingly insurmountable challenges. He once said, "I have tried 99 times and have failed, but on the 100th time, I succeeded." This perspective encapsulates his approach to failure, not as a roadblock, but as a stepping stone. Each rejection, each dismissal, was a valuable lesson that propelled him forward. Perhaps what makes Einstein's quote so soul-shaking is that it points to a profound truth about the meaning of life itself. In a world that often tells us that success means accumulating wealth, power, or fame, Einstein offered a different vision. "Try not to become a man of success," he advised. "Rather become a man of value." For Einstein, value came from contributing to something larger than himself. He wrote, "The life of the individual has meaning only insofar as it aids in making the life of every living thing nobler and more beautiful." How different our world might be if we measured success not by what we accumulate, but by what we contribute. Not by how much we take, but by how much we give. Not by how separate and special we become, but by how deeply we connect with the whole. Einstein understood that true happiness doesn't come from pursuing happiness directly. If you want to live a happy life, he said, tie it to a goal, not to people or things. But that goal must transcend our individual desires. It must connect us to something larger, to the universe itself, with all its mystery and beauty. When I first read Einstein's words about our optical delusion of consciousness, something resonated deep within me. It wasn't just an intellectual understanding, it was a recognition at the soul level. A remembering of something I had always known but somehow forgotten. That we are not separate. That the boundaries we perceive between ourselves and others, between humanity and nature, between the observer and the observed, these are illusions. Powerful illusions, yes. Persistent illusions, certainly, but illusions nonetheless. Einstein, who peered deeper into the nature of reality than perhaps any human before him, came to understand that the universe is not a collection of separate objects, but a unified field of energy and information. That time and space themselves are not absolute, but relative, woven together in a fabric that can bend and stretch. And if space and time themselves are not what they appear to be, might the same be true of our separate selves? Strange is our situation here on Earth, Einstein wrote. Each of us comes for a short visit, not knowing why, yet sometimes seeming to divine a purpose. Perhaps our purpose is simpler than we imagine. Perhaps it is to awaken from the delusion of separateness, to recognize ourselves in each other, to feel our connection not just to other humans, but to all of life, to the earth itself, to the cosmos that gave birth to us. Einstein, who revolutionized our understanding of the physical universe, also offers us a revolution in consciousness, a way of seeing that transcends the prison of our perceived separation and opens us to the vastness of what we truly are. His words remind us that even in our darkest moments, when we feel most alone, most misunderstood, most disconnected, we are still part of something magnificent, something that transcends our individual lives while giving them profound meaning. There are only two ways to live your life, Einstein said. One is as though nothing is a miracle. The other is as though everything is a miracle. I choose the latter. I choose to see the miracle in every sunrise, every breath, every moment of connection. I choose to remember that I am not separate from you, or from the trees outside my window, or from the stars that shine above us. I am a part of the whole, called by us, universe, and so are you. And in that recognition lies our freedom. As the stars fade into dawn and the universe continues its cosmic dance, remember that you are not just witnessing this miracle, but are an essential thread in its tapestry. In your moments of deepest loneliness, when the world feels cold and distant, Einstein's wisdom reminds us that this separation is the grandest illusion of all. Your pain, your joy, your very existence ripples across the cosmos in ways you may never fully comprehend. But in those quiet moments, when you feel something stir within you, a connection to something greater, know that you're experiencing the truth that Einstein discovered not just through equations, but through his heart. We are never truly alone. We were never meant to be. If these words have touched something within you today, I'd love to know how Einstein's wisdom has shifted your perspective. Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want to continue exploring the profound insights of history's greatest minds, subscribe to this channel where we dive deep into the wisdom that transcends time. Hit that notification bell so you never miss a moment of connection. Thank you for sharing this moment of cosmic connection with me. Your presence here matters more than you know.